Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacconiana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home.
Today we are continuing with some normal maintenance on a few lighters that we have hanging around the headquarters here. You can see the bit of wick that we cut off the last one right there. Well, we have a Ronson Whirlwind Imperial that the wick has grown very bushy on out of the top of the chimney and will not allow that snuffer to close properly. So we are going to trim that up and hopefully have a better functioning Ronson Whirlwind Imperial automatic petrol lighter. This is one of my favorite EDC lighters, and can't even remember now how long it's been since I've actually used it, but I got to looking at it in there a while back when I found it discarded along with a bunch of other lighters that I had been working on projects with at one point or another. When I realized how bushy this wick was, and it really wasn't allowing the snuffer to close properly, I really thought it was going to be an issue when it came to extinguishing the flame. I figured it would allow threads from the wick to remain aflame here around the edges, but it has not, so that's a good thing. But as you can see, that snuffer is a bit elevated. I would just like to get that wick trimmed and to have that snuffer go down exactly as it should. So we're going to grab a hold of this wick, and I'm just going to pull out enough that I can clearly cut off all of that bushiness. I don't remember exactly what kind of wick this was, but as recently as it has been re-wicked, I don't believe I would have installed an asbestos wick. I think this is safe to cut on, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and trim it. I don't cut on the asbestos wicks anymore, but the newer wicks that don't contain asbestos, I don't see any reason not to. Okay, so that should give us plenty of clean wick. I'm going to keep this pulled back for the time being so that it doesn't close down on it. And I'm going to try to cut this very clean. Okay, should be clean enough, and you can see long but straight, not frayed. Now, that may have been a little bit long for this snuffer. I guess we will see here in a moment. There's the piece we cut off, so not much. And we did raise it up there quite a bit. But as I said, you don't have all that fraying that we had. Well, let's see if a single shutting of the snuffer will fray that out, and obviously not. So that looks good to me. Definitely a good solid flame. Doesn't appear to be too long. It's not smashing it down. So just in an effort not to have that fray out like it had before, I'm going to leave that as clean as possible. It is interesting that you see the burning there around the edges, considering we just filled this back up. I don't think that should need fuel. Fueled it up today. Guess it is possible that when I fueled it up, I fueled it enough that it will ignite, but not quite full enough to where it's at its full capacity that you would want it to be at. Maybe that's why that's singeing. I think some lighters are just going to singe no matter what you do. So we'll keep our eyes on this one. This is definitely a lighter that I will keep fueled up and use to ignite a candle or two here around the apartment, and even more so if we happen to grab a joint and go out for a walk, then throw it in my pocket to light that up. Ronson Whirlwind Imperial, which was introduced in 1956 according to the Toledo Bend VCL site, which I referenced that site a couple of weeks ago, along with a thank you to Eldon Baldwin of the Lighter Library for pointing it out that this lighter was anachronistically portrayed in the Paramount Plus series 1923, which was a great series. I highly recommend it. But a little bit disappointing that they didn't do a little bit more research and included a lighter from the mid-1950s in a TV series or miniseries that was taking place in the early to mid-1920s, full 30 years earlier. But anyway, the Ronson Whirlwind Imperial, the improved mechanism that I believe first came out for Ronson on the Essex in about 1954. Also, the spring bottom, which was also on the Triumph and even the regular Whirlwinds. The Whirlwinds that were more oval on both ends, those toward the tail end had the same kind of spring-loaded bottom for fueling the lighter. At this point, this one would probably look better if I would go ahead and remove all this adhesive from the leather that was on it. I'll have to see about that. What would be the best thing to remove that adhesive? Maybe make the lighter a little more attractive anyway. But whether or not it is aesthetically pleasing at the moment, which obviously that finish and that looks pretty nasty, honestly. It's like half torn leather still on it. More adhesive than anything, but definitely not an attractive look. But ugly as it may be, works like a charm. And not only that, but then don't forget that you've always got the windscreen that you can employ. Until next time.